medical institute wants to sell genes. They want to sell gene cards. Buy a gene card and read your future. When in all actuality, this technology has just as much scientific value, maybe even less scientific value than going to a palm reader or an astrologer. This is a quote by Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cell biologist and cell anatomy professor at Stanford Medical School. Daniel Graham wrote an article published September 8, 2008, of an interview with Bruce Lipton. In the article, Dr. Lipton revealed that while doing research at Stanford Medical School, he found that genes turn themselves on and off, like a light switch. This is due to environmental stimuli. The field of epigenetics shows that environment and other factors that are within our control greatly influence overall health far more than genetics does. Today I'll be talking about how epigenetics relates to physical health, mental health, and how a genetic predisposition is not a definite. What we expose our bodies to greatly impacts our health. Contrary to popular belief, it is actually rare to contract a disease solely due to genetics. A person can have a genetic mutation associated with the disease and never develop the disease throughout their life. It is far more likely for a person to develop a genetic disease due to epigenetics than it is genetics. So this means cancer, strokes, heart-related diseases, autoimmune deficiencies, addictions, and mental health are all disease conditions one can have a predisposition for, but none are predetermined. According to the National Cancer Institute, 10% of breast cancer patients carry the breast cancer gene associated with the disease. That leaves more than majority, 90%, who do not carry the genetic mutation associated. On the other hand, an article published by Dr. McCullough on April 2nd, 2012 revealed that 99% of breast cancer samples tested contain parabens, which are a preservative used by the pharmaceutical and cosmetology world and known carcinogen or cancer-causing agent. While I could go on forever about the chemicals that we expose our bodies to that are related to diseases and illnesses, next I'll be talking about how epigenetics is seen in mental health. Epigenetics is also a great place to look when figuring why people develop things like depression, mental diagnosis, and acts of violence. Children who fail to receive significant love from others fail to build these reserves of love, of self-love, and mostly feel numb, empty, and dead. This is a quote from a book published in 1996 called Violence, Our Deadly Epidemic and Its Causes by James Gilligan, a prison psychiatrist. James Gilligan is a renowned psychiatrist and a renowned psychiatric specialist and author who grew up in a small town of Nebraska. While being a psychiatrist at a prison in Maryland for 25 years, he found that almost all violent inmates he encountered had been physically, mentally, or sexually abused as children and developed mental issues due to this. So, in other words, people dealing with depression, violence, and other mental instabilities have often gone through traumatic experiences and great letdowns in life. An article published February 2012 by Carol Roach, a Montreal mental health examiner, contained a study carried out in Montreal by the McGill Group. In the article, the brain samples of suicide victims were tested. Of the victims, 40% were knowingly abused as children. Of the 40%, all of them had molecular changes to their brain cell functions that are associated with how a person deals with stress. Also, an article published 2013 by PhD Roseanne Zal states that early childhood abuse can alter brain chemistry and lead to later depression and violence. While epigenetics can be used to explain physical and mental health, it can also be used as evidence to show how predisposition is not a predeterminant in genetics, which I stated earlier. See, without epigenetics, a society can be led to believe that a lot of people are just born troubled or predestined for illness, which is true in rare cases. Richard Wilkins, an epidemiologist, states that genes are not things that make us behave regardless of environment. Genes give us a different way of responding to the environment. Epigenetics can be used to explain why people are troubled in our society. While there are genetic mutations associated with behaviors such as violence, a person can possess these genetic mutations and never become violent when raised with proper care. This can be seen in an article published December 2012 by Discovery Fit Health. In the article, studies were done on genetically identical twin rat pups. Of groups of twin rat pups. Of the rats, the ones that were licked and coddled while young grew to deal with depression better when mature than the ones that didn't, despite any genetic dispositions. See, with or without genetic mutations, our environment and our experiences are what shape us and makes us who we are. So in the end, after 3 days of research, seen in numerous studies and examined by various experts, the biggest contributor to health and behavior is environment and other factors related. So looking at underlying issues to explain health and behavior is more reliable than using genetics as a cop-out. Thank you.